Anyway, so here it is. This is the first video from David Youngblood at, AKA, I guess, Ivan Fulashitsky. But we'll get into more of why I came up with that name here in a minute. But first, I shot a video of some deer in the backyard. We feed them every day, and I thought that would be interesting to post. And I didn't want to have to take my camera over there and film that, so I just filmed a separate video. But anyway, so today I went to Best Buy. I'm gonna start with this story, to get a stand because I need something to put my phone on. I don't have a camera on my computer. So I go to Best Buy, and there's a line out the door. And you know, I can go to H-E-B, I can go to Target, and I can go to Home Depot, and I can go to Lowe's, and I don't have to stand in line outside. But apparently Best Buy only lets 10 people in the store at the time, or something ridiculous like that. But personally, I think I was around more people standing in line than if I just would have went in the store, got what I needed, and got out. So hopefully Governor Abbott can get all this straight, and we can stop acting ridiculous going out to get a phone stand at the store. But anyway, so yes, I'm David Youngblood, and the reason for this, I guess we'll get into this Ivan Fulashitsky and how this came about, but for those you don't know, I spent 2 years under the Mueller Russia investigation. Now, I don't know any Russians. I don't work in any kind of intelligence agency. I'm not a celebrity or a politician or a business leader or anybody that has any influence that would possibly be working with the Russians, but apparently that's the story that the FBI came up with. And it's not surprising considering my past, and I'll explain how all this came about. But so basically, the FBI and others in the intelligence community were trying to cover up crimes that happened under the Obama administration. And the way to do that, and of course I've been investigated for various things. The biggest was probably, during the Obama years, was probably an FBI operation called Operation Pipe Cleaner. And to summarize it, basically what the FBI tried to do is they tried to set me up as a drug kingpin. And they do this through various ways. They try to associate you with known drug dealers or prostitutes or drug runners. And it may be something where you know, I was just casually dating at the time. I was on some dating apps, and you know, you meet somebody like you usually do on a dating app. You wink or smile, and you exchange a few messages, and you go on a date. And so I went out with this one particular girl who happened to be caught up in this operation. Now, she didn't tell me that. She didn't tell me she ran drugs or was into prostitution or anything. She just acted like she was a single mom. And I was divorced, and you know, I just wanted somebody to go out with, have dinner or whatever. If it led to other things, then it did. If it didn't, you know, at least I had something to do with my time, because North Dakota, there's not a whole lot to do besides work and drink. But anyway, and so my business has always been, started out as an electrician, had a pretty bad back injury, had my own business, electrical contracting business, and I had to give it up, had to sell out when the economy went bad. And after I got injured, and then I traveled the country doing industrial projects, doing power plants, food processing plants, and then landed in the oil and gas industry. And that expanded out to other things, such as doing instrumentation work. And then I got into the programming side, automation side of the business. And so that's essentially what I've been doing the past 10 years. And that's what I was doing in North Dakota, and back when the oil was booming. But the FBI apparently was targeting people. You know, I know this because I've seen it personally. And I knew I was being targeted. Of course, I wasn't a drug dealer or saboteur or pedophile or a Russian asset. You know, it's just the latest of the stupid things that I've been accused of. But, you know, ultimately it's about them not liking people with a particular belief. Maybe it's that I'm a veteran or a Christian or gun owner. And they were using the power of the intelligence community, the FBI, to set people up, not to go after criminal activity. They were trying to create a crime so that they could put people behind bars. And that's what they did in North Dakota. And they did it through associations with people that were on. They arrested like 21 or 22 people, and there was probably a lot more involved that they made deals with. And I was introduced to quite a few of them. In fact, I just rented an apartment in a house. It was a basement apartment from a woman whose daughter was selling, who was dealing. And so if you want to create a case that somebody's guilty, you catch them on video with known associates. And then you take these people that are facing huge jail sentences and you make deals with them. You know, well, you know, we know you didn't buy drugs off this guy, but, you know, he's a bad guy, and if you help us out and you would go to court and say you did, then, you know, we'll tell the judge that you were very cooperative, and he may knock a few years off your sentence. And that's how it works. You know, if you're caught up in prostitution and you're picking up drugs for your Johns, and you want to get off those charges, well, go date this guy and introduce him to some of your friends, and we'll catch all this on video. And then we can go before a jury, and we have all this video evidence of you associating with these people. Now, of course, the whole thing fell apart because there was no truth to it. Obviously, you know, there were some good, decent FBI agents that didn't believe what they were being told by headquarters, which I think is where a lot of this information was coming from. You know, headquarters, it's not the field guys. The field guys were just doing their jobs. They were based on the information they were given, but it was headquarters that was targeting specific people. And but anyway, the thing fell apart, and the FBI continued to chase me around the country wherever I went, any project, trying to. I mean, they tried to get me to buy drugs. They tried to get me to manufacture drugs. You know, all of which, I mean, I made good money doing what I'm doing. I don't need to sell drugs to make a living, and certainly don't want to end up in jail. So, you know, I tried to avoid it as much as possible. But I kind of fast forward to the day or two after Trump got in office, because I see a similar situation with what happened in the Trump campaign, where they put people in his campaign arranged the famous Trump Tower meeting with the Russian lawyer and did other things to build associations with Russia. And obviously, Trump campaign didn't have anything to do with Russia. They weren't colluding or conspiring with the Russians to win the election. And I certainly didn't have anything to do with the Russians or the Trump campaign, other than sending some cash in. That's the only contact I had with them. But what's really strange is about this insurance policy is that they developed this thing for several reasons. First of all, it hindered Trump's ability to have his attorney general investigate some of the things that happened to me and others during the Obama administration. Because if they accused me of being a Russian asset, then they could, anything that he did or his attorney general did to investigate stuff that happened before he got in office would appear to be that he was helping out his Russian friends or an American citizen working for the Russians, which if you look through the testimonies that were given to Congress, to the House, that's what they were looking for. They were looking for an American citizen working on behalf of the Russians to get the Trump campaign information. And what's really odd that during the time of the Trump campaign, I didn't have a computer. I've experienced what happens when you have a computer. The FBI will backdoor it and load evidence on there and hack your social media accounts and messenger accounts and everything and make it appear like that you're doing something you're not. And I think that was the case during the Trump campaign, because I was given a promotion at work which required me to have a work computer and a work email and password and all that. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the particular employer I work for also used CrowdStrike for their IT work. So it would be very easy to send an email from my work address or make it appear that something was happening on a work computer that was not. And of course, I've always been very aware, given my past, of anything I do electronically or any text or phone call or any kind of communication that could be construed as illegal. I've kept myself pretty clean, so it was really odd at that time that I got that promotion and that they gave me a computer, and that was right around the time that the DNC was hacked, or shortly thereafter. So I suspect they were looking for somebody to pin this on, just like they were with the Operation Pipe Cleaner. They were looking for someone to pin bringing drugs into North Dakota, which probably was some of their buddies at the CIA that were actually bringing the drugs in. But of course, they're not going to get arrested, prosecuted. They're going to find some scapegoat to stick it on. And so years and years of dealing with this stuff. And, we're just now seeing some progress with John Durham's case. And, of course, I haven't been contacted by anybody, any attorney or anybody from the Justice Department or FBI or Trump campaign or anything. It's just been kind of a waiting game. So that's kind of where the Ivan Fulashitsky came from. That's kind of my smart-ass way of poking fun at these people. This Mueller team, led by some of the most corrupt attorneys, on the face of the earth, all of which are going to be liable And, if I have anything to say about it, they'll be in prison and penniless, for concocting this scheme and using me as a scapegoat for all this stuff. So just a matter of time before the truth comes out, and there's a lot of good people in the FBI, and I poke a lot of fun at the FBI, but I know that there's a lot of whistleblowers, there's a lot of good agents that didn't believe what they were being told, a lot of good people in the DOJ and in the intelligence community, that know that I'm telling the truth and that this is just all made up and it was done to protect the previous administration and to cover up crimes under the previous administration. So hopefully we'll see some closure to all this stuff, because it's been a battle, and I'm ready to see things wrapped up. But I guess on to some world news. We're seeing pretty good progress over there in Israel with the peace agreement. And that's good news for Israel and its neighbors. And we're also seeing some just massive floods in China right now. And we don't see a lot about it on the news, but they, since May, those guys have been getting pounded by storm after storm after storm. I mean, it's tearing up all their cropland. They've got dead animals, cows and pigs floating down the river. You've got bridges washing out. You've just got floods everywhere on a biblical scale. And it kind of started when the communist Chinese had their little powwow in Beijing back in May, and the sky went black, middle of the day. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, went completely black. And I'm not talking about thunderstorm black. We live through thunderstorms here, and thunderstorm comes in, it doesn't get black like midnight, but it was black like midnight. And it was right when the communist Chinese were deciding, hey, we're gonna put more pressure on Hong Kong. We're gonna put more pressure on the Christians here in our country. And, we're going to have a strong arm with these people. And, the sky went black and the storms came rolling in. And ever since then, it's been raining. They've had snow in Beijing in the middle of summer. They've had hail. They've had just crazy, one natural disaster after another. And and what the floods haven't ruined, the locusts have come in and wreaked havoc on their crops. So it's almost like God's mad at them, for releasing this virus on the world. Now, maybe it was accidental, maybe it was intentional, but the virus appears to be a bioweapon that was made specifically for the purpose of killing people. So I think the communist Chinese need to really consider that I know they don't believe in God, they're a bunch of atheists, but they need to consider that possibly God is not very happy with them. And maybe they need to honor their agreements with Hong Kong, to leave them as a democracy. Maybe they need to stop threatening their neighbors in India, Taiwan, Pakistan, Tibet. Maybe they need to stop putting their people in concentration camps. If you're Muslim or Christian or Buddhist, they seem to want to retrain you to worship the communist system. And so I would imagine that it's going to keep raining over there, and they're going to keep seeing destruction until they either change or their country is ruined to the point where the people are going to rise up and demand change. And I think we'll see that. I think we'll see them go the way of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union tried to starve its people, put all their money into defense while their people starved, and the people had enough. And the Soviet Union fell apart. So hopefully the Chinese will learn from that, and they will see that, fighting God is not a very good idea. So we're seeing lots of interesting things going on in the world today, and hopefully, and China's not the only place that's persecuting Christians. We're seeing it in Nigeria and other places where they're killing Christians, and God's not happy about that. He's going to protect his people, and he's kind of had enough of seeing his people persecuted, and even in this country, people just don't realize what's been going on behind the scenes and how Christians are being targeted and their lives are destroyed using our intelligence community, the tools that we give them to fight crime and terrorism were actually being used on the American public. I can't say that that's the case now. I think that we've got some good people in there that are bringing about change, and we need more transparency. We need more congressional oversight in our intelligence community. Those tools can be very useful, or they can be abused. And typically, when government has access to those kind of powers, sooner or later they get abused. And so hopefully we're doing things to rein in the intelligence community and bring accountability to the FBI and others that have abused those things and accused people of things they haven't done. It's a terrible, terrible thing to be accused of a crime you haven't committed, and it's hard to undo. You go around and you interview, in my case, friends and family and coworkers, and you ask these leading questions that put you in a bad light, and it's difficult to get that build your reputation back after that. But that's what's happened. And the same type of techniques are being applied to the president. Guilt by association, planning of evidence, planning of people, lying witnesses, and it's all unraveling. And it needs to stop. Somebody needs to stand up and say, you guys are you're conspiring to overthrow a president, and you are putting innocent people's lives, in chaos because of what you're doing. But I think that's enough for today. I'll probably get into some more details about some of these things later, but looks like I have some more deer that showed up. I need to get some corn out for them. So signing off for today. Thanks.